Welcome, everyone. We are excited to have you for another session of our Another Stepping Stone to AAC. Tonight, it's Getting to Know You. I'm Heather Prenovo, and I'm joined tonight by Courtney Maholtz, as Brittany is out of town today. So thank you, Courtney, for joining us.
Thanks, Heather. Happy to be here and joining everyone tonight.
Our interactive classroom is now live and ready, and the link is going to be on our website. At the end of tonight, we'll show you on the website where you can go and see all our recorded classes. And the interactive classroom is actually up there now. When you go and click on things in the classroom, it will take you to those separate classes, those recordings, and have links to the handouts as well. I am the Bitmoji on the left. I'm Heather Prenovo. I'm a speech language pathologist and a PRC Saltillo AAC consultant in Minnesota. Brittany, as I said, is not here today, but I have Courtney if you want to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Heather. Yes, I'm Courtney. I was previously consultant in the state of Georgia. I don't know if we have any Georgia people joining. And currently, I am the training and implementation specialist supporting NovaChats and WordPower.
We are so thankful to have you here tonight. The other pieces that are interactive on this classroom, I don't know if we've mentioned before, the posters on the wall, you can click on those and they will take you to our manual boards, which are a part of the handouts. But if you wanted to share out those manual boards, the Word Power one is on the left and the Unity one is on the right. And then the computer on the table also links you. If you are not familiar with who your PRC-Saltillo AAC consultant is, you can click on that. It's going to take you to the website where you can type in your zip code, and it'll give you the contact information for your consultant. We always welcome you by saying we know that AAC is a journey, and that's why when we started these classes, the first round of them was called A Stepping Stone to AAC. We have to take those first steps. We have to start simple and just get moving. And now we've progressed into another stepping stone. We want to add to it. So now that we've got a little bit more comfort with our AAC, we can expand on things. We can help our AAC learners continue to expand on that. And we want to help and be part of that journey here at PRC Saltillo. One of your handouts, it looks like this. It's called our Another Stepping Stone to AAC organizational tool. We designed this to give you a way to start planning and thinking through, what am I going to be working on? What do I want to help my AAC learner, my child, do and use their AAC device for? And we're going to go through and fill this out together. But just wanted you to know that that's part of the handouts. You can jot on it as we go through tonight. You can share it out with others if you find it helpful. One of the things that we often talk about is sometimes we do need to start and plan and do a little bit more work at the beginning to get ourselves comfortable with it. We want to get to that point of it being more automatic. And so doing this work up front often then will help you with figuring out how to do it more automatic later. And so, as I mentioned, we're going to fill this out together tonight and go through what that is. Another piece of your handouts is just a reference tool. So this is a way to kind of look back and be able to think, oh yeah, we targeted this. This is how I filled this part in on that organizational tool. So it just walks you through. You can refer back to it. Or again, if you're sharing it out with another family or your child's speech therapist, or maybe their BCBA that's not here tonight, then they have something to refer back to. So one of the fun things that both Courtney and Brittany and I really love about AAC is the different topics that we can target. And the reason we chose this getting to know you topic tonight is, let's be honest, it's fun to talk about things you like or talk about yourself, and that is no different for our AAC users. Introducing yourself is a skill they need to learn and use throughout life, and then being able to share what they like and they don't like. And we want them to become more independent as they grow as a communicator and an individual. And so these are skills that we can start in preschool. If we haven't mastered them, by high school, that's okay. We can still continue to work on them. And so that's why we wanted to target that tonight with you. It's also something that you can expand on and start asking questions of your communication partner. So that's one of those skills, and Courtney probably can attest to this too, that it's harder to learn language wise, but if we start it in those back and forth conversations, it can be one way that it's easily modeled.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? And we often forget about, oh yeah, we could be doing those questions. So we're going to incorporate that tonight. We included both the Unity and the Word Power manual boards, as I mentioned earlier tonight. Our focus is going to be, I'm going to be modeling with Word Power. We've kind of been alternating. Last time we modeled on Unity. So tonight you're going to have that. But as we've always mentioned, core words are core words. So whichever system that your child or your AAC learner is using, use that and find the words on it. So we are going to watch a little video about, and this is an all about me type activity. And so I just made a little PowerPoint that I would use with my students or my child. It can be anything. You could have a photo album. Again, we talked about that last time, or it could just be a worksheet that maybe you're doing one of those posters for class, just to be able to talk about you. I'm going to attempt to make sure that you guys can hear this loud and clear, but I know audio sometimes is a little tricky. So if I need to repeat, let me know in the chat window. But what we would like you to do is, as you're listening to this example, what are some of those core words or some of those phrases that you're hearing that maybe we could use to model? Let me get the volume up here just a little bit. All right, so here we go. This conference will now be recorded. Let's tell our friends all about me. What are some things we can talk about? We can start by telling them about our name. We can say, my name is Heather. You can say your name. My name is Ella. Then we should ask what their name is. And ask your friend, what's your name? It's fun to know about our favorite things. We can talk about our favorite color or our favorite food. We can say, my favorite color is yellow. Yes, my favorite color is yellow. Or we could talk about favorite food. My favorite food is pudding. Yum, yum. We can ask our friends, how about you? What is your favorite color? Then we can talk about some of the things you like to do. You can tell your friends, I like to ride my bike. I like to go shopping. I like to listen to music. Let's ask our friends, what do you like? What do they like to do? We can also tell people about the different things that we have, like a pet, or what color hair we have, our eyes. We say, I have a dog. I have a black dog named Fred. Or we can say, I have brown hair. I have green eyes. We can ask them, do you have a dog? Do you have brown hair? Or we can say, what color do you have? We can learn lots of fun things about our friends. Okay, so that is an example of how we could model. And we've mentioned before in this scenario, since we don't always have our AAC users nearby, thanks to more distancing, those pauses that you noticed would be times where we could pause and allow our AAC learner to participate, to answer the question, to imitate a model, those kinds of things. So those little longer pauses, that's what that is for. This conference will. So thinking about that, we also have been talking about when we are continuing to grow the language, we want to talk about those pragmatics, those social, those communication functions, the reasons why we communicate. One of the handouts talks about those different language stages and different pragmatic stages that we want to be targeting. We want to be at or just above where our AAC learners are. We don't want to overwhelm them. We don't want to go too far, but we want to expand. We want to continue to grow and expose them to all those different reasons why we communicate. So this is just a reference for you to kind of look at. If your AAC learner is still just kind of at that 1 to 2 word making messages, that's totally okay. Then we add a little bit. Maybe we model 2 or 3 words, maybe 4 words. If they're starting to put 4 and 5 words together, then we can start modeling 4, 5, 6 words. So just remember that. And I'm going to open up our organizational tools since we know that that has not been interacting well. Courtney, if you've had any experience with it working on PowerPoint, we have not.
It's always rough, yeah.
So I'm going to open up the actual organizational tool and we're going to type on that. So I want you guys to share out what are some of those words that maybe you heard or that you think about that we would use in that kind of an activity. What were we talking about? You can share it out in the chat window. Like, have, ooh, good.
Mm-hmm. Like, you mentioned that. What?
Ooh,
I think
good.
we also picked up on how.
Pronoun.
Maribel picked up on the pronouns. I, you.
I think at one point I did try to use they. That one's a harder one. No, that is perfect. And that is really where we are going to start with figuring out what are some of those words that we already talk about when we're doing that activity that we can then think about how do we get our AAC learner to actually use those kinds of words. We want to model those.
Oh, and Jamie shared am, which is one that we don't often think of early on, but am is a great one.
Yes, I'm going to add that on to the list too. And again, you don't have to have this many. You can start with 2 or 3, and then we grow. And so start simple, start where you're at, and we keep growing. So this is a great list. I am going to pop back over. We also want to be thinking about those communication functions. And so on part of the organizational tool, you'll see just some ideas. Again, you don't have to target all of these, but these were some that popped into my head. What are you guys thinking? What else are we maybe targeting? Did I miss any when we're doing those greetings and talking about our likes and our dislikes? I said we're kind of sharing and showing information, right? Requesting information of others, stating our own personal information, and also those greeting and closing. Can you think of anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you could even make a case for maybe stating an opinion, taking,
Yeah.
oh, who says taking turns?
Perfect. Yes.
People picked up on that.
Yes. No, that's perfect. Like I said, as you quickly are doing it, sometimes you like forget some of those, and I'm like, that's exactly what we were doing. We were doing turn taking. We were giving those opinions. So again, this is just a jumping off point to get you thinking, because often when we start with AAC, we start with those requesting objects, requesting activities, requesting foods. We want to grow that. We want to be communicating for more things. So this is a gentle reminder to us as well. All right. So once you've picked out, like, what are we targeting? What are those reasons for communication? And then what are some of those words we're going to target, those core words or core phrases? The next step is this writing yourself a script. You can use open-ended questions, those questions that don't have just a yes, no answer. They're more, they're open. They're broad. We don't necessarily know what the answer is going to be. If I ask you, do you want to play ball? My only option is to say yes or no. But if I say, what do you want to do? Now, maybe ball is what I want to do, play ball. Maybe it's not. Maybe I want to draw with chalk. So those kinds of questions are great. We also want to be modeling those comments. We want to be modeling the types of responses to questions to show them what those answers look like. Just that reminder here as well. If they are responding currently with 1 and 2 words, then we want to respond just above that. And we talk a lot about kind of recasting or expanding. So taking, if they say eat pizza, we can then model for them or recast that. We can expand on that. Oh, I want to eat pizza. I like to eat pizza. And we can show them how to grow that sentence. I'm going to pop back over to our Word document here. So I would love for you to give some ideas of questions or comments that might have like or have. And it could be ones you heard or ones you're thinking of that would help us when we're modeling.
I can hear the keyboards clicking away.
I was going to say. Trying to remember what I said in the video as well. So I'm like, I think, oops, put it in the
Do
right.
you like reading? That's a great one.
I did
Did
say.
do you have a pet? Do you have any siblings? That's a great one.
Yeah.
We had, did you have breakfast? And we could open that up even more to be, what did you have for breakfast?
Hmm.
What
Okay.
color hair do you have? Where do you like to go? That's nice and open. Great questions, everyone.
Yes,
What do you like to eat?
you are getting it. So you get that idea. And I will say, from my own experience, I sometimes, to this day, after 20 some years of working with AAC devices, I'll find myself getting back into a yes no question pattern. And it's just natural. Like we do it all the time. So sometimes writing these down, though, then you start to see, ooh, I'm starting to ask more of those yes no. How could I redo that? How could I change it? So, what color? How about we already obviously we're using a lot of what in our examples, and that's okay. Have repetition because we learn better when we use repetition. Um, so if we wanted to reuse a question down here with our what, what do you like? I just saw one. What toys do you like? Ooh, I like that. How about how questions?
Always the tougher ones, how questions.
Right? Ooh, I like. Oh, how do you go to school? How
How,
about you? Yes, that one is
yep.
so versatile and so underused. How old are you? Ooh,
Yeah, that one's super functional.
right. Or we were talking about siblings. How many brothers and sisters? Or we talked about pets.
Yep, how many pets? You read my mind, Heather. That's where I was going next.
We sometimes share brain, Courtney, I swear. So you get the idea there. And for time purposes, I'm going to um, not go into the next one. And no, again, we can do repetition. We can down here, maybe we do some answering of those questions that we targeted up here so that you have them written down and you can refer back to them. I have, you have, um, so that you're modeling that on the device as well. The next step after you've written yourself the script is get comfortable with that vocabulary file. So we want to find these words that we wanted to target on the system so that you can practice and you're not stressing out when we're actually working with the AAC user. So I just used some red circles here to highlight on the board where I might find some of those words. Um, so that helps you. Again, if you're using the device to model, you could use a red border and highlight, or just start practicing and getting that motor memory going. I'm going to reach here for this word. I'm going to reach here for this word. All right, so we're going to see this in action with Word Power 60 Basic on this Nova chat. And want you to just kind of see, and if you want to practice on your own board or your own device how you might model, go right ahead and here we go. Okay, we're going to tell our friends all about me. Let's see what we can talk about. We can start by telling somebody our name. You can go and tell them. My name is Ellen Jones. You can say, my name is Ellen Jones. I'm going to ask your friend. What's your name? What's your name? Let's see what else we can talk about. Oh, we can talk about our favorite things. You could say, hi. What's my favorite color? Color. Is yellow. Yellow. Tell friends. My favorite color is yellow. What did you say? My favorite. Would we maybe talk about our favorite food? We go to groups. And then food. My favorite is pudding. Pudding. Yum. We can ask our friends social, personal questions. We can ask them. How about you? How about you? Maybe we could ask what is your favorite color? We can ask them, what is your favorite color? Ooh, we can talk about the things we like to do. Like, oh, I like going. Let's go to places. I like going to a mall. Shopping. That is something we like to do, isn't it? You can say I like go to actions, we could find listening. Listening. And like listening to country. Country. Music. Country music. I like listening to country music. Another good one. I like. We can go to actions and see if we can find writing. How do these are actually A to Z? I like writing. Writing. Like. Writing. People. All right. I'm gonna pause it there and keep on going so that we can kind of give some reflection. So after that activity and modeling, what questions do you guys still have? How are you feeling about this idea of kind of scripting things out and modeling? And do you have any kind of those takeaways, your next steps? Share those out, ask those questions. If you do need to hop off, it is 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, so we know there might be other things in your evening. Here's our contact information if you do have to hop off and want to reach out. Otherwise, we're happy to stay on for a little bit here and answer any questions. Elena, where is what on the home page for WordPower 60 Basic? So it is actually under the questions tab. And so I'm going to pull up my chat editor. So for those that are asking about it, you can actually see it, because sometimes hearing it and seeing it are very different. And while that's loading,
welcome to chat editor.
There we go. So on WordPower 60 Basic, if you go to question up here at the top, what is going to be there? So it's not necessarily on the home screen. So we're, again, teaching that sequence of, hey, if I'm going to ask a question, I can come in here. So all my question words are here, including if I wanted to do you, how, those are going to be there. You're welcome. Sue, I find scripting great because it helps to narrow down the main target vocab and gives time to practice finding the words before the session. Exactly, and that's that piece. Kind of take away some of the stress and the anxiety of what am I going to touch, what am I going to say, until you're more comfortable with where things are and what you're saying. Great activity for peer interactions, I agree. Starting, like I said, starting young, it's a fun thing. Kids like to talk about themselves. As I said, do any of us really grow out of that? It's fun to talk about things we like.
Absolutely.
Do you have any suggestions for this in Spanish? And do you have these forms in Spanish? We don't have them. Thank you for that feedback. I know we are trying to up our resources in the other language. So the same pages are available, but the handout, I'm going to make note. Courtney, do you have any?
I was going to say, I'm writing it down right now to put on my list.
Perfect, because we have Courtney, our training and implementation specialist. That's her list. But yeah, in WordPower 60 Básico for Espanol, those same pages are there. So you could work on the same types of things, but we don't have the handout in Spanish. So we will look into that. I always give myself that pause of, I know people might be typing. And if not, oh, how would you shorten the questions we came up with if your child's at the 1 or 2 words? So you could still ask the question, a full question, but you might model just parts of it. So for instance, let me put that chat editor back up. And if I'm modeling, I might maybe just, and Courtney, what are your thoughts on this too? If they are at that kind of 1 and 2 words still, maybe we focus on some of these pre-done questions on here. And so, my name is, and then what's your name? What's your name is already put together. What do you like to do? What do you like to do? Those are put together. Or, like I said, you could just model what do you like? Like. And you're modeling just 1 or 2 words to start, but you're still asking the question. What do you think, Courtney?
Yeah, I agree. Maybe, pronouns are often kind of early learned too, some of them. So maybe focusing on those, just kind of pairing those, because that's really how we, direct our attention. What do you like? Or your favorite, right? My favorite. Those are, often early learned and really help us direct like I said, direct that conversation and that communication. So. Yeah, you still say the whole thing, you just pick those few words that you want to model.
Perfect. And then Christina, my son just got his device a few weeks ago. It's very new, but I don't really have a what is your name button. Do you know which vocabulary file he's using, Christina? Um, and so would you focus on saying name for him to ask others? Yeah, if that's what you have access to right now, find
Yeah,
what's
or
available, but I'd be interested on which file.
yeah, I was gonna say, or use probably really easily, readily available. So just kind of, what's your name? Turning that back over to a person.
Yeah. Samantha, sorry, I'm new to AAC World. Is there an app that we can download to edit touch chat online? So we don't have an online editing, but the chat editor that you see load on my screen here, if you have a PC computer or laptop off of our website, you can download Chat Editor and you can import your user's file into that from TouchChat and do some editing and then export it back over to their file. And we can share out where to go on the website to find that. And then there's tutorials on how to do that, importing and exporting. And Jamie, for a non-literate child, how do you choose appropriate icons for more abstract words like what, like, and how? Um, we had this discussion recently amongst us as consultants, as well as in kind of the research and SLP, the speech world, that really, don't worry too much about the icon supports for it. We want to teach the functionality, teach what that word is. So if we're modeling what do you like, and we're showing them, that's why sometimes those icons, are very random. They're very abstract. It's an abstract concept. So yeah, I would say not to worry too much about the icon for it, but using it functionally and showing them where it is. Samantha, is there more basic training? I'm trying to figure out software to download. We're still in the initial setup phase, just got the device. Yes, so I'm gonna load our website. Um, if you have a NovaChat, Saltillo website coming in to either do support articles on, how do I edit a button, those kinds of things, or our video tutorials, as well as any of our recorded webinars that kind of talk through some of that initial setup, working definitely with your speech therapist as well as your consultant in your area if you have questions about how it's organized and where to find things. But then we have our parent caregiver classes, those stepping stones to AAC, where we started at the more basic level on picking a couple words and targeting those for different activities. Those are all listed here that you can review and watch, as well as under implementation, kind of goes into different topics, as well as our amazing new website. And Courtney, could you pop the link into I suppose I can copy and paste from here, can I? I'm just not good at typing it out. There we go. Our AAC learning journey is also another great spot to, depending upon if you're using an accent with Unity or LAMP Words for Life, or if you're using a NovaChat with WordPower, you can do either there's instructor-led courses or e-learning modules at your own pace. So Um, and as far as initial setup, checking those out. But then, like I said, I would reach out to um, your PRC-Saltillo consultant too to get help with getting it all set up. Um, First time attending, I really liked it. How often do we do it? We've been doing these once a month. We have one more in June, and then usually during the summer we take time off, but you can review those online recorded ones, and then we'll hopefully start up with more in the fall. And Christina, he uses an Accent 1000 with lamp words for life. Perfect. Um, and that does answer that question, so perfect.
Yeah, and so I was looking up, so I'm just going back to remember what the
So those questions like, what's your name?
yeah, so on Landlords for Life, I mean, there's definitely like if you type in there's that My Name button. There's lots of options. You could program in some other of those questions if you wanted to, but you could also just start from that question. You have to remember Landlords for Life is programmed a little bit differently, so instead of relying on some of those phrases and those quick back and forth social interactions, it is more of a build your question as you go. So you're absolutely right, Christina. You're not going to find like a page like we had on the word power, um, on word power. But that's not to say that the phrases don't exist on there. They are there. You just have to find a place where you think that's appropriate. So, maybe that my page, because the my name is already there, you could program in on some of those empty buttons. Those follow-up questions, that's completely up to you.
Good point. Which then I think falls into this question. My son can only reply to specific social questions. So if somebody asks, when is your birthday, he can reply, but can't answer if we switch the question form to what is your date of birth. Any suggestions? I think the more exposure you give to him and kind of you model, oh, what is your birthday? My birthday is this. What is your date of birth? And then you're just going to keep um, exposing him to those different questions and maybe modeling the response. It might always be that one makes more sense to him. And there's always going to be those opportunities, I think, even for us adults, where sometimes somebody will ask you something and it's just a little bit different than your normal question that you get asked, and you have to stop yourself and think. So perfect. I don't see any other questions popping up, but we really appreciate your participation tonight. We hope it was helpful. Hopefully you can join us in June. We will be doing, I believe it's family game night. So we are excited for that. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again. Yes, there was a page with stages chart, I think. Yes, you can definitely download that. Under the materials tab, if you go in there, it is labeled. Oh, it is not in the link. I'm going to add it into the follow-up email link. So when you get that email saying thank you for joining, and if you want to review the materials, I'll make sure that that is in there. And it's also going to be on the website, which I talked about. If you come in here to those parent caregiver classes and click on one, you can watch the old ones, but then the links for all the handouts are here. So AAC language and pragmatic stages is right there. That'll be another spot to get it. So thank you for letting us know that it wasn't in the link for tonight. My apologies.
Does it
Awesome.
work? Let's make sure. Does that work?
Oh, and yes.
Yay!
Yay! You got to test technology. So, yep, it's there. Love it. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.